everybody. I'm excited to have Horst Engelmann here with me today. And again, another episode of our Frontline Report. But before we get started, Horst, tell us, what is life like near Cologne or in your city outside of Cologne?
Well, we are living a little bit in the countryside. It's a small city of 20,000 inhabitants, but it's a city or a region with a rich heritage in Christian churches. So we have, for Germany, quite a number of churches in the area of 20 kilometers or so, maybe 20, 30 churches, which is many for Germany.
And what's the name of your village, or where you live, the actual city?
Village, or the town where I live, is Berg Neustadt.
Okay, yes.
And the region is called Oberberg.
Got it, right. So you're right there where Frontline is. It's in the same town, of course.
That's right. It's just 5 kilometers from Frontline.
And as I recall, it was about a 30-minute drive or so from Cologne?
Yeah, from Cologne Airport, about 35 minutes, yes.
That's fabulous. Well, great, Horst. I know that you've been doing a lot of exciting work with the different organizations that you're working with both Jesus Unites and Frontline, and especially in the area of reaching out to refugees and helping specifically to equip churches, integrating them into their congregations, and then also helping to plant migrant churches. So Can you tell us a little bit more about some of those projects and what you currently have on your plate?
Yeah, we just had a meeting last week with churches that are related to Frontline, and it was very encouraging to hear that many churches have now regularly refugees and migrants in their services. It was a little bit funny to hear they said, well, for many years we had stagnating churches, which is more or less the average here in the German churches. But now our church is growing, people are baptized. One church or two churches said, we are now so overcrowded, we need to think about either building a new building or making several services for a weekend, which many churches until now don't have. So we see that refugees are really welcomed in German churches, and they have some problems with it, but these are very nice problems. I mean, if you have the problem that place is too short, then it's a very good problem. And also we see refugees are open to the gospel on different levels. Some are just interested in having contact, but many are deeper interested in the faith, and especially some of the discipleship courses like the Al-Masira course, which is taught in many churches now, and my wife is a trainer in this. We see that people really understand the history of salvation, starting with creation and with Noah and Abraham and David, and then coming to the Messiah in 13 weeks. So this really is a very good method for people who don't know much about the Bible, coming from Muslim background or other backgrounds, and then they can understand what the gospel is about, and quite a number open their hearts for the gospel. And to hear this is very encouraging.
That's fabulous. Now, how does the Al-Masira course, where does it fit in relation to like the Mary Magdalene video or I'm drawing a blank, but I guess it's the Jesus film, the Jesus film video. I mean, I guess, are those kind of more of an introduction or wide? We call the wide end of the funnel type of, because those are just sort of one, as I recall, it's sort of one video or section, and then the Al-Masira, this is more of like a Bible study. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not so much a Bible study, at least not for Christians, but it's an introduction who the Messiah is to people who don't know Jesus at all. So Al-Masira in Arabic means the journey, and it takes people into a journey like the Bible does from the Old Testament, how God revealed himself to the different leaders of the Old Testament until John the Baptist, and then when Jesus the Messiah came. And the good thing about this course is it was produced in the Middle East, and mainly in Egypt, but in some other places also. And so the surrounding is quite connected to the people who are now listening or watching to it. And it starts to ask questions. So also the format is more an inductive format, not telling the people this and this and this you have to believe, but taking up the questions they have and then confirming these questions and giving an answer here and there. And over the 13 weeks, the understanding of who God is as creator and who God is as the one who brings salvation and who Jesus the Messiah is growing step by step. And this is a very adequate way in presenting the gospel. I did some similar things when we were missionaries in Africa, in the Muslim surrounding where we were there in Tanzania. And I think this is very appropriate for people who have not big knowledge about the Bible and about salvation. So it helps them to build up step by step.
That's fabulous. Now, are you finding that there's a language gap? I mean, I got to think that when the refugees are coming to these churches or they're coming into these programs, what challenges do you have? I mean, I'm assuming that is the Al Mazir class, is it in German? Is it in Farsi or English, or what? How are you bridging the language?
It's really multilingual now because we have refugees from very different backgrounds. The original film series were produced in Arabic, and there's an audio channel in English and in French, and then there are many subtitles in all kinds of languages. So many times we are using Arabic audio and German as subtitle or English as subtitle, and then many times it's translated to other languages also. So it's a little bit a mess. It's not orderly done, everything, because sometimes you have 3, 4, 5 different languages in the same room, and you have to repeat things so that the important things really get the attention. And usually it's 30 minutes watching this video, and sometimes we just stop it and read a verse from the Bible. Then the people can read in their own Bibles, in their own languages. And also then there is an hour or so afterwards, talking, discussion, praying for one another. Wow. And this is also done in different languages. So it's a little bit challenging also for all those who run these courses, the language thing. But on the other hand, as now the German government and many churches are offering German classes, those who have been here now for a year or so, many of them understand some basic German, and then if they see or hear something in their original language where they come from, then it comes together and helps them to understand.
Right. Yeah. So in general, how is the landscape changing with the refugee population? I mean, one thing I found interesting when I spoke to Henry up in Zwickau was that there's no more camps in Zwickau.
Yeah.
All of the refugees have all been assigned apartments or flats, which I thought was amazing to me. But the interesting struggle that he mentioned that popped up was that now it's actually a little bit more challenging to organize and find and communicate with, you don't have access to, 100 or 200 or 300 refugees at a time, and so they're, really working hard to keep track of everybody and where they moved, and so what are you seeing, I guess, in general, in a wide stroke as far as the refugee population as it relates to some of the churches? I know it's a big question.
Yeah. Well, in the area where we live in North Rhine-Westphalia, they always had the policy, the government, that refugees should live decentralized, even though when there was the peak of many refugees, they had also some bigger buildings where they lived together, but this was only for a short time in most places, and many of them lived in smaller houses. The thing is, as most of the refugees come from community-oriented societies or cultures, if you have a relationship somehow to them, then through this relationship you can invite them to different things. And what many churches do, they have different possibilities where refugees can come to. For example, like we have here in Berg Neustadt, we have a meeting called Culture Mix, which is very easy just to talk and just to play some games and to drink tea together. So very, very easy. Mm-hmm. But those who have a little bit more interest in coming, we invite them every second week to a Jesus night. And Jesus night means you just sing songs, you pray together, and you read a little bit from the Bible. And it's very basic. And those who start to ask more questions, they are invited then to Almasira. So, I mean, we have a lot of relationships to people who come here and there, maybe also to the church when there's a festival, when you can eat something. But as they know us already, and you have their mobile numbers and these things, you can invite them easily when there's a new offer to go to, and then they will come. So those who have started early, they have the relationship. Those who are starting now, they have to be a little bit creative in getting the first contact. But if you have the first contact, then it's quite easy to have follow-up contacts on us.
Well, it's just such an amazing time of harvest. I mean, just these things that you speak of. I mean, of course, these classes, these videos, they couldn't happen in their homeland, and so it's so amazing to see how God is using this time and this place. And I love that the churches that you're involved with are doing the best that they can to embrace this. I understand that there's a lot of challenges with that, but that the harvest is plenty right now, and it is certainly encouraging, especially for, I think, the whole world, really, as many cultures struggle with xenophobia and just intercultural relations. So it's very encouraging to see what's going on in Germany.
Yeah, and we feel churches need to go through several stages of welcoming refugees. The first stage was just helping them practically, and this has been done. And in some places, they still need some help, and that's fine. But the most important thing is getting a relationship, because many of the refugees feel quite lonely, even though when they have everything or their basic needs like food and things, but they need relationships. And if a church can offer this relationship, then churches become quite interesting for refugees. And from the side of the church, then it's easy to present the gospel. So this would be the first step, would getting in contact. Second step would presenting the gospel. Third step, and this is a little bit challenge for some churches, incorporating the refugees on a long-term perspective. Many said, well, they just came, and now we have to find ways how we can have permanent relationship with them, inviting them to our homes and having some baptism classes or some classes in introduction to the church, that they can understand the church quite well besides understanding the gospel. And the last level would be really to involve them in ministry and in leadership also. And in some churches, this is happening, especially for the migrants and refugees who have come earlier. I mean, we had waves of refugees in the decades before. So some of the churches, they have learned already to be an intercultural church, not a monocultural church. And when someone comes into the church and sees a colored person standing on the stage and singing or making the announcement or even preaching and praying, then they are feeling, okay, this is a church where we are really welcome. It's not just a program done by the original Germans, but it's a program done by anyone who has a relationship to Jesus, and many different cultures are welcome. So we try to present those churches who have this experience, even up to the last level where you have people from other cultures in leadership of the church, to others, to encourage them to show it's possible that this works, and it works really.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. There's so much we can. There's so many questions that I have, and I look forward to hopefully we can get to speak a little bit more regularly. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are excited about the work that you're doing. But before we wrap up for today, what is there ways that we can pray for you specifically, for the German Church, for Forum Jesus Unites, any of the organizations, or what comes to mind? I'd love to be able to share that so that we could at least join you in prayer.
Yeah, thank you very much. That many are praying already for Germany, and also through this medium now, people will be encouraged to pray for us. And the biggest prayer for us is that the German churches have a long-term perspective in ministering to refugees. I mean, doing it quickly, spontaneously, according to the needs that's there, that's one thing, but to do this on long term for years and for decades, this I want to see in the hearts of many church leaders. And for example, this week we have two meetings, one meeting in Bonn at the Rhine near Cologne, and one meeting at Frankfurt, where we gather church leaders from all over Germany. And the goal is to have this vision like John had in Revelation about this big multitude when in heaven we will worship the Lord from people from different tribes and languages and cultures together. I think at that time this was a big encouragement for John and for the churches that were also under pressure. But this vision, I think, gave them power. And we need this long-term vision of how Jesus sees his church, and his church is a church from all backgrounds of cultures. And when you pray for Germany, pray for German church leaders to have this long-term vision in their heart, and then to find many creative ways in reaching out to them. And tomorrow, on Tuesday and on Thursday this week, we will have this bigger meetings where we want to encourage other church leaders in Germany.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's I can certainly see how as time goes on, the challenges change, and the initial sort of excitement, passions. Sometimes, if they're not from the Lord, if people are interested in different reasons, they may fade. But clearly, God has set this time and place. But we will definitely pray for the long-term perspective for the German church, and that you will be sustained and encouraged, and hopefully encouraged by how the rest of the world is being encouraged and led by you. I think that would be I know for us here we need that, so we will definitely do so. Well, Horst, listen, again, thank you for your time, and we're planning to do these updates a little bit more frequently so that we can keep in touch with what's going on. And again, thank you. And
Thank you.
so we will, until the next time, talk with you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.